Hello, online pipe community. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today I am with John of John's Pipe Journey. John, how are you doing?
Great. It's good to see you again, Ethan. Last time I saw you was at the Muletown Pipe Show.
Yeah, wasn't that a lot of fun?
It sure was. That was my first real pipe show.
Oh man, that's a great one to start out with. Now, tell us, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, as much or as little as you care.
Okay, well, now I'm retired. I started out life as an electrical engineer, and then um, I had electrical contracting business for a while. Then I ended up in Vermont teaching fly fishing and upland shooting for the Orvis Company,
Hmm.
and um, then I got back into the engineering field, and then um, I was up late at night and saw this video on like being your own mechanic, and I thought, oh man, that'd be fun. And so I spent like the last 11 years as a mechanic working on Hyundais in Rochester, New York. As Because of my background, I was the electronics specialist, and
Hmm.
so and it turns out my wife is a mental health therapist. Yeah, I've been married to her. Gosh, now I think it's like 15 years or so. And she told me that I had ADD, and I'm like, no, I don't. And she goes, look at your resume. And I'm like, oh wow, because I popped all around, jumping in and out of things. I'd master something, get bored with it, and then I would decide, oh, look at that over there, and I'd do something different. But now I'm retired, and I moved out of upstate New York. I lived just south of Lake Ontario. Um, and about 9 years ago, we bought property in southern Missouri. And so I call it the Garden of Eden because it's just so gorgeous here. And so I've been here taking care of 2 dogs, 4 cats, and about 25 chickens um, for the last uh, 9 years. So anyway, that keeps me busy most of the time. Um, I have a couple of hobbies I love to do. Is like one of them is backpacking with a hammock,
Hmm.
and so I love um, hammock camping. And then, of course, I was obsessed with fly fishing, and so there's a lot of places to fly fish around here. And so I that's another one of my passions is fly fishing.
Now, apparently the locals haven't beaten you up for not saying Missouri yet. Um, my family's from my mom's family. One side was from the Van Buren area,
Oh,
and
I'm
so
like that.
that uh, that area, the Big Springs area, and uh, Van Buren, Grandin, a lot of the little tiny towns down there were summer vacation spots for me as a kid.
Grandin has the best restaurant in the whole air with like within a probably 100-mile radius of here.
Hmm.
It's called Black River Cafe, and the town is tiny.
It is.
Um, and I couldn't.
It almost disappeared when the U.S. Postal Service stopped, when they shut the post office down.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that, but like I kept asking the chef, like why are you? How did you pick this place? And he didn't really have a good answer for me that made much sense. But um, it's literally, I mean, I've had 2 Thanksgivings there. The food is that good.
Wow. Now that wasn't open the last time I was there, so that's pretty cool.
If you're
Yeah,
ever, you have to stop in and eat there. It's unbelievable.
well, I will have to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, the one of my mom's uncles had been the post office, the postmaster in that tiny little postal service, and maybe they've reopened it. I don't know, but a couple decades ago, anyway, they had closed it, and the town almost disappeared. Yeah.
The interesting thing is, Grandin had the largest sawmill in the world, supposedly.
At some point, yeah.
And that's one thing I love is history, like local history. And there's so much history around here that it's almost all logging, because that's pretty all they're like. When I moved here, you could either be a logger or work in like McDonald's or something, because there was not much else to do.
Yeah, not a lot of other industry outside of agricultural uh,
Right.
stuff. Yeah, most definitely. All right, going to dive right into pipe stuff. How long have you been smoking a pipe, and what got you interested in it?
15 months I've been smoking a pipe. So it was like January, the not this past, but the one before. And I stumbled onto the Pipe Cottage. Uh, and I was captivated by Alan Harrelson's voice. I even told him, I said, you should be like reading books for Audible. And so I said, like, I don't even smoke a pipe, but I could sit and listen to you talk for an hour. And so, um, also, I love Sherlock Holmes, especially the real old Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce ones. And I've seen them probably hundreds of times. I like them that well. And so everybody in that whole show is always smoking a pipe. And so I just thought, and I never smoked anything. I smoked like a cigar once a month for like maybe 6 months, and it seemed like every time I'd smoke a cigar, I'd get a cold the next day. And so I stopped doing that. And so, like, literally, I never smoked a cigarette or anything. And so I thought, well, you don't inhale. I'm going to try one. So I went on eBay and bought like a dead guy pipe. And that's when I started smoking. And then I saw what a phenomenal hobby it is, because there's so many different artisan pipes you can get. And, or, like the Petersons and the Savinellis. I really don't even have an artisan pipe. But I just was fascinated by like how beautiful and artistic they were. Then
Hmm.
there's the, Larry Blackett tampers you can, start
Yeah.
getting, and um, lighters and everything. And I was like, I couldn't even believe. Oh, and the thousands of tobacco blends.
Hmm.
That's all. There's almost too many. It's like confusing when you're new, because like I would like look at somebody's video, like the top 10 tobaccos, and like, oh, okay, and I'd order some of their, number one or number two, and so I started amassing, like a bunch of tobacco that like, and it took me forever to be able to even taste anything. They all tasted sort of like a cigar ashtray, especially aromatics. I love the way they smell. Like you want to eat them. And then when I smoked them, they all were horrible. And so anyway, I started binge watching um, everybody's how tos, like oh mutton chop piper, and all the ones that teach you how to, because it's not really obvious how to smoke a pipe at all. And for the longest time, I thought the end of my tongue was like a piece of leather, because, like, it always was like burning constantly. I started using mouthwash made with aloe to try to like heal my tongue over the night. But anyway, I stuck with it, and I just been having a ball with just the other thing is so incredible is the community of pipe smokers. Like, for one thing, it's blew me away is how many Christians there are to smoke a pipe. Like, even pastors or priests and stuff that smoke pipes. I had no idea. And um, so the more I've been doing it, the more people I've met. And I literally live in the middle of nowhere, and so it's hard for me to even meet anyone, because like every day is almost the same day for me except for Sunday. And so I've just been having a great time, connecting with people on YouTube through the pipe community.
For our non-American audience, um, there has long been a war on tobacco of all kinds, not just culturally like we're seeing worldwide now, but uh, many American churches were had a complete rule against smoking, chewing, any kind of tobacco use. In fact, I grew up with the mantra that, we don't smoke, drink, or chew or date the girls that do. So it's a little eye opening for American Christians to discover that there are a lot of folks out there who share their faith and enjoy a pipe that, you know this isn't a Christian community by any means, but we're always surprised by how many Christians there are in the pipe smoking
Oh,
community, and it it always is a little bit of a shock to newcomers. Hey, before we get any farther, let's talk about what we're smoking right now. In a Briarly carved bulldog, I have got a bowl of Eric Stokeby's the fourth generation Twilight, an interesting vapor with Orientals thrown in. How about you?
well, this is a Peterson New Grange Silver Spigot 408. I love the Peterson spigot pipes. I have like all of my pipes are silver spigots except for I bought this past year's pipe of the year, and it's got a silver band with an army mount, so the stem doesn't have the silver part on it.
Right.
And I'm smoking uh, Peterson's early morning pipe because it's morning. So, well, it was morning for me. So, seems like you have to smoke that one first thing in the morning. And then I also have GLP's Chelsea Morning. I've got that in case I run out. I've got that in one of my other favorites. It's a Savinelli 320 Eleganza. I couldn't stand the looks of 320s. Everybody loves them for because they smoke so well.
Mm-hmm.
But it just looked the stem was so fat and then it just pinched off. I couldn't stand the looks of it. And I saw the Eleganza, and I'm like, that's a pipe that I can really, wrap my head around. And it still has the bowl, so it smokes the same.
Yeah. So would you say then? I mean, it sure sounds like it that you have gravitated very heavily toward the Peterson spigots of any type. That's your pipe of choice, regardless of shape.
Well, I have three of the New Grange ones because they were all silver spigots. And so I have like the 999 and the XL02, which is a really large one. And then the other ones are a system. I have two system silver spigots. They're smooth, and it's a 303, and then the big brother, the 302. And I really like those. That's the only Petersons I have. The rest, I have about the same amount of Savinellis. I think the Savinellis are really pretty. That's one thing that attracts me to those. The stems are beautiful because they use like the Italian acrylic. Like I have one that has orange. It's like, I forget what it's called. It's a French name for orange. Sort of like the Millet that was the honey one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have the orange one, and so really I've just been buying Savinellis and Petersons. I did buy one at the Muletown show. I got it's called a Cannonball. That was made by I can't remember. I guess it's Pipeworks.
Are you talking about the venue there, Briarworks?
Yeah, Briarworks. I bought one of their pipes while I was there. It's the Cannonball. And then I have one other one that's not. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I can't. But all the rest of mine are either Savinellis or Petersons.
Gotcha. Have you then developed a particular liking for any one shape yet?
Oddly enough, most of mine are bent pretty severely, but they're a hassle when they start to gurgle or whatever to try to get a pipe stem all the way down in there. Some of them you virtually can't unless you take it apart. That's why one reason why I like the silver spigots, because you can take them apart.
Yeah.
So actually, the more straight pipes are easier to deal with. So the last ones I've been getting have been more straight. I kind of like the looks of the bent ones, really, but they're more of a hassle. So I've pretty much just started like the last ones I've gotten. Like in fact, the meerschaum, my favorite meerschaum I just got is a straight egg, and so it's real easy to clean them out or to get moisture out of them.
Yeah, that it is. How about bowl shapes? Do you like billiards or pots or?
My favorite one was the uh apple. I really like the looks of the apple shape, especially in the Savinellis.
Yeah.
And um and then I like billiards also. This is kind of a large Prince shape, kind of, but
Yeah.
I got one Prince. I ended up sending it back because it was too small. Uh,
They often are. It's a slender pipe.
yeah, and so I just happened to think I did buy a used Savinelli 315 KS. That's like a Prince shape too, sort of, but it's a lot bigger.
Okay.
So
I don't know their numbers outside of a 320.
yeah, well, the 626, that seems to be the pipe that everybody gravitates. Like their first pipe seems to be a 626. My favorite Savinelli is a 673.
Hmm.
Um, are you familiar with that one?
That's the John Harden shape,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
little bulldogish thing. Yes, I have one of those, and that is a good smoker.
Yeah, I have three of them. I like
Hmm.
those so well.
But
Um,
see, then bulldogs are my favorite shape, so I naturally gravitated toward that particular one just because it's got that kind of a bulldogish vibe to it.
yeah, but I guess I'm new enough that I don't even know what I like the best, except for
Hmm.
I do like a thick walled pipe, and I like a large diameter inner chamber diameter,
Hmm.
because if it's too narrow, it burns a lot hotter because of the physics of it, and because the more narrowed down it is, like a Venturi effect, so it's like really gets hot.
Yeah.
So the ones I like the most actually are the thick walled with a large inner diameter.
Yeah, I tend to agree that those are my favorite smokers are short fat pipes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and tobaccos. My favorite tobaccos right now are two of my number one and two are Boswell's, the country countryside and North Woods are my two favorites. And then I also love the John Wilkie's Crystal Palace.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had that, but
I have
that
not.
that blend comes from before the Civil War. And any blend that's that old and still, around, um, must be something worth trying. And I found it was tremendously good.
Hmm.
So that's like my probably second favorite one.
Yeah, that I have not had. The Boswell's, he does Englishes, medium Englishes in particular, really well, and has a reputation for putting out some decent aromatics. Although I don't tend to go that direction myself. The stuff I've had of his has all smoked really well. So those two are your current favorites. What did you start off smoking?
Actually, I started off with all the Peterson, well, not all of them, but the Peterson, which were Dunhills.
Hmm.
Uh, so early morning pipe, nightcap. What's weird is there's so many people saying how strong nightcap is, and I'm new, and I really like that one.
Hmm.
So I like a lot of times at night I'll smoke that one like right before I go to bed. Um, and then the other one, let's see. Oh, my mixture 965, I think it is. Those three were the ones I really liked of the Peterson ones.
So right off the bat, you got into Englishes and Balkans. Uh,
Yeah. Um, what happened was I couldn't taste anything at all for like ever. And I'm like, like I would get a kick out of these guys that like list off like 20 things they could taste. And okay, you're making up almost all those probably, because like there's no way, that you can taste all that stuff, or like, bizarre tastes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm tasting cigar ash. And so anyway, I was on the phone with Smoking Pipes. That's where I get most of my stuff. And there was a lady there on the phone, and she said, try Seattle Pipe Club's Rainier Levant. And it was almost like a religious experience. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can taste this floral note. Or some people think it's something else, but like to me, it was sort of floral like. And I'm like, wow, I can finally taste something. So that was my number one for a long time, just because of like I could taste that. Nothing else I could even taste.
Right.
And so my palate still is pretty bad. I mean, as far as being able to, I can tell what I like and what I don't like, but I could not tell you anything about. I did taste citrus one time, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's a citrus, like it's almost like an orange peel taste.
Well, the most important thing is whether you like it or don't like it. So,
yeah, and I didn't try any of the codger blends because our country's demonized tobacco products so much because of cigarettes, that like virtually they say, you can get in a drugstore or a grocery store or anything. I haven't seen that anywhere. And so the only place that I have around me is more like a head shop that has giant bags of kind of scary looking tobacco that I don't want to purchase, and then find out it's basically, I think it's all just cigarette tobacco.
It is. It's labeled pipe tobacco to avoid taxes.
Okay, well, so I really didn't have any codger blends, because when I was ordering online, I'm like, nobody's saying that's their top tobacco hardly.
Right.
And so I was trying them, and I did get some Captain Black, because I'm like 3 hours south of Washington, Missouri, which is where Missouri Meerschaum is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so fascinated with the history of that I zoomed up there and went into the store, and they had a pouch of Captain Black regular, and I really like that one. And it says it's an aromatic, but to me, it just seems like normal tobacco. It smells good, but I don't think of it as like fruity or anything like that. But
yeah,
I like that one, and my wife liked the smell of it too. So I was smoking some Captain Black, and then I got the gold, and then I got platinum, which I didn't care for either one of those as well. So that's really the only codger blend I wanted to try Prince Albert, because people talk about how good that is. But I haven't actually tried any of the other ones at all.
Well, when we get off of here, we'll hook up and I'll set you up with some samples of some different codger blends.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's weird because it's hard to find tobacco except for on like where I am. I'm about 2 hours east of Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never like been there looking for anything, because when we go there, we're basically going to a restaurant or something. So there's one pipe place there, supposedly, that I've never gone to. So I don't really have any stores where I can go in and buy anything.
Right.
St. Louis, hours from St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually why I moved here. I'm far enough away from the giant cities. And that was on purpose. But like then there's the other side of that coin is there's no restaurants near here, or you can't go to Lowe's or anything like that.
Right.
So I depend on the internet for everything.
Yeah, Van Buren's probably the closest town of any size to you.
That's go to the dentist.
Yeah. And there's not a whole lot there.
No, that's like an hour away. And it's actually smaller than Mountain View is. I'm like 13 miles from Mountain View.
Okay.
And that's like 3,500 people, I think.
Yeah.
To be a huge place too. It had an airport. It has an airport and everything that you can land jets on. But because the industry just disappeared out of here, and then with COVID, the only big thing that was here was a like a soda remanufacturing, like soda machines and all those when you go to the little Pickett Snicket stores, they got all the drinks, like, you know, rows and rows of drinks and all those refrigerated units.
Mm-hmm.
That place restored all them.
Hmm.
And so that was really the only giant thing here, and COVID completely knocked it out.
Hmm.
So now there's kind of nothing here.
Okay. John's Pipe Journey channel seems channel name itself seems fairly self-explanatory, but what got you from being a watcher to this side of the camera?
Well, my other channel is Snap-on John 100. And I named that because I love Snap-on tools.
Okay.
So I started that one, gosh, 13 years ago or something. So I've got about, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,500 subscribers on that channel. So I've been making videos on backpacking. I started out basically, I had my shoulders operated on. So I started out just finding lawnmowers and then troubleshooting them and repairing them to show people how to fix their lawnmower.
Hmm.
So that ended up, you know, and I showed people how to, you know, change their timing belt in their, you know, in their driveway of their car. And then all of a sudden I had a double pulmonary embolism. So I was in the hospital for like, gosh, I think 5 days or something. And nothing was on TV except for survival shows. And I used to love camping and backpacking when I was a kid. And so I just switched my channel over to backpacking and, well, also like survival stuff. Like I was teaching people how to make a fire with a bow and drill or flint and steel, primitive methods. So I was making lots of videos from that. And so, and then I ended up having a heart attack. So like that set me back. So I hadn't made a video in like 2 years at all. And I just thought, I found out you could make one on your phone because I had no way of editing it. And I thought you just have to go on there and, you know, whatever you got, that's what you put online. And I had to edit mine to death because all the and, you know, goof up stuff I make. And so I was like, you know, I was spending hours editing all that stuff out of my videos. And I was horrified thinking that I'd have to just put a video up with, you know, no editing at all. And somebody said, oh yeah, you can, there's an editing program right there on your phone.
Yeah.
And so I tried it and I'm like, wow, this is easier than anything. So that's when I started, you know, actually making some videos. Because I use my phone now because I can't carry as much camera equipment with me because I don't really have any stamina anymore from like having the heart attack.
Yeah. Well,
but I said it was kind of easy for me to make videos just because I used to use a camera and make videos before.
so you were already comfortable in front of the camera. That was not a big deal. Well,
yeah,
we're glad that you joined us. That's for sure.
Back on the horse for sure because I hadn't done it, and you know, and I just thought, oh wow, I'm gonna look like some boob because I didn't really know anything about pipes at all. And the thing is, I found there's only so much stuff you can, like, you know, look at my new pipe and oh, here's a tobacco I got. And like I thought, well, who'd want to just sit there watching somebody smoke a pipe if they're just talking about their pipe? And I thought, you know what? Most people, I think that have people watching them smoke their pipe while they'll tell a story, you know, some interesting thing about themselves or whatever, like John did. I watched a bunch of his videos because everybody was talking about him so much. And that's all he did is basically get on there and talk story, you know, say stories while he was smoking his pipe. And I thought, that's interesting. Like I could watch somebody, you know, talking about themselves or whatever while they're smoking a pipe. And so I want to try to come up with that kind of venue for my channel. But so far I haven't had very many stories to think of, except for I'm trying to do one about how I got here. So it's sort of like my life from growing up as a kid, and I'm going to end up with, today, but I've just done part one so far.
Yep. Well, and that should be interesting. I tell you what, um, John Harden made it look easy to tell stories. It's a lot harder than it looks, and he really did it well, and very rarely ever talked about pipes and tobacco all that much, other than to tell us that yeah, he was smoking his and, his what we now call the matches 673, and that it had haunted bookshop in it. If he mentioned it at all, you knew what he was smoking and what he was smoking in it. So
Oh, right.
it was all about the story.
See, that's why I like your videos and your channel, because um, you have a lot of cool topics that you talk about. That's not just sitting there watching you smoke your pipe.
Oh, well, thank you. I do appreciate that.
You're walking back and forth periodically behind you.
Yeah, the dogs are going nuts back here.
Well, I've got one of my cats jumped up on my lap.
Yeah, they enjoy the backyard and like to make cameo appearances in my videos periodically. So yeah, I can't see them, but yeah, if you guys can, that not surprising at all. They like to steal the thunder from whoever is in front of the camera at the time. Um, Now, you said you've got a series that you're thinking about. Are there any other series ideas that you've got for your channel?
Well, I haven't thought beyond that, because um, I had so much trepidation even doing this one, because I thought, like, one, I thought that's sort of like just, I don't know, arrogant or something, to, like, who cares about your life story, like. But I've gotten more likes and more comments on that when I've ever gotten on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So people are actually interested in that. And um,
Yep.
Dave's or Piper Dave was the one that said that he wished more people would, talk about themselves, because remember, Zach, you interviewed Zach, and he had a series on kind of his background in the military and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Piper Dave really liked that, and I'm like, well, that's interesting to me. I like hearing that stuff,
I
but
like
I
getting
just
to know people.
right, and that's what I thought. I wanted more people to. That's one other reason finally I did it, is I wanted more people to do the same thing, so that we could get to know each other better.
Mm-hmm.
Because this community is so kind and loving to each other already. But I thought, man, if we knew more about, like, where the person came from and all that kind of stuff, we even have a better relationship. And so that's kind of that was what pushed me over the edge to start it.
Well, there are a lot of us who are anticipating the next installment.
Well, it's going to be soon. We had a huge tornado storm, and we had hail here that was bigger than a golf ball.
Hmm.
I mean, it was like that big around. I've never seen hail bigger. The biggest I've seen is like this big. And this was like, it was almost an apocalyptic thing, because the sky was really dark gray, and these huge white things were like just raining down on us.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome to
so
the Midwest.
yeah, so we're in the aftermath of that, because I was going to do it. I was ready to do part two a while ago, but that kind of interrupted things.
Well, speaking of weather, where you live, what would you say are the best and worst parts about being there in southern Missouri?
You mean weather-wise?
Or anything at all? What is the best thing about living there, the worst thing about living there?
Okay, well, I can tell you exactly why I moved here. First, my brother-in-law just retired out of the Green Berets as a full bird colonel, and he'd been studying demographics since the 80s. Had a huge giant list of criteria, everything from taxes to end time scenario stuff. And he told me, get below Highway 44 in southern Missouri. It's the best place in the entire United States. And he actually could tell you how much land costs any place in the lower 48 if you asked him, just right off the top of his head. And he said Arkansas is twice as expensive. If you had property that, you know, that bordered on both sides, the northern half would be half the cost of the southern half.
Huh.
And so he said, and that was my excuse to get out of New York. I finally voted with my feet.
There you go.
It's a gorgeous state, but I could not stand the politics. And so we escaped out of there, and that's how I came here. And I found this place. I'm surrounded by thousands of acres of oak forest. And so it's like the Garden of Eden. I mean, like, I see pileated woodpeckers all the time, and it just, the wildlife here is unbelievable. And so, and the weather, like, I'm 67 and I've never seen a funnel cloud in my entire life. I didn't see the one. There was one that actually went right through Mountain View and tore up a ton of stuff. And I didn't see any of that. So I haven't been bothered by any of the weather that they talk about. You're in Tornado Alley or whatever. We had thunderstorms pretty much all summer long, but they pop up and then they're gone in 15 minutes or so. The worst thing for me is where we lived near Rochester, there was a restaurant on every corner practically. And when I was working on projects, I could go to Lowe's, Menards, or Home, and I back and forth 2 or 3 times because I'd forget something. And here, there's almost nothing.
Yeah.
And so, and the food tasted.
Losing you a little bit here. Let's see if we can sync back up.
Okay. Now I can see you.
Yeah, there we go.
I had to give up restaurant and conveniences like hardware stores, that like the giant hardware, and any of that here. So if you move to some place where there's not people,
we're losing you bad here. Hold on. I may have to edit some of this up a little bit just because it's getting choppy.
Internet is poor here. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
As you can tell.
Yeah, that happens. Well, I mean, I promised you I would ask this as my last question. Do you have any parting words or thoughts for our viewing audience?
Well, I guess if you think you might want to, actually become a presenter and not just watch videos, because I guess it's scary when you first start out because you might not know what to even talk about or anything like that. But once you get over that hump, it opens up a new world, because as a presenter, it's like you meet more people and you develop more relationships. And that's one thing that's attracted to me, especially living out in the middle of nowhere. I've got friends all over the world because of becoming a presenter. And so I just think if you have a phone, which most everyone does, and a tripod, just go for it and try to make a video, because you can always throw it away and start all over again. That's the thing, is I was always afraid, like, oh, it'll be lousy, but you can just delete that one and do another one.
Yep.
So
you certainly can.
So that's what I would say, is just if you want to meet a lot more wonderful people, try your hand at making a video.
That is not bad advice at all. Well, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this conversation with John as much as I have. Light something you like. We'll see you next time.